Hello, everyone. We are live with another episode of Weekly Oscar Talk this week. Not much news this week. We had a decent amount last week with Killers of the Flower Moon releasing and the Gotham Awards nominations. This week it's a little quiet, so we decided to do some updated predictions in the major categories, the top 8 above the line categories. If next week is also not a lot of news, we could also do the below the line categories. So I'll have to see how that pans out. But yeah, before we get into these predictions, Anthony, any thoughts overall?
Yeah, I'm very excited. I think that this is a year we've talked about where it's going to be a lot of big numbers, a lot of films with 10 plus nominations, possibly, definitely a lot of them near the top. And I think that could mean that a lot of these films that we're maybe anticipating picking up a nomination here, a nomination there, like Women Talking, where they get like two. They have like a Best Picture package with 2 nominations.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's happening this year. I think
it's too crowded.
I think they're going to pick their favorites in a lot of the categories, and so that's why I'm interested in the nominations we think are happening for films that aren't getting into Best Picture. I think that's where it's really interesting, and whether that's indicative of maybe rising momentum and they could end up in Best Picture, or that they're going to very concentrated on these specific categories.
Yes, I am also interested in that. Let's say hello before we get started to everyone here. We've got Ezra joining us. Hello. We've got Justin, Pranks and Cats. Josephine asked us a few questions per usual before stream, so we'll address those at some point, but we're going to get started with Best Picture at first, and at some point. Hello, Movie Muffin. We'll get to those questions. Don't worry. Maybe end of the stream, but they will be addressed at some point. All questions will be addressed. But let's start off with so I'm going to be, it's hard to do predictions when it's 2 separate people visually, 2 separate people with 2 separate predictions. So I'm going to be sharing my screen with my predictions, and Anthony is going to be saying where he agrees, disagrees. We're going to be giving our separate predictions. So
I think we're pretty similar. Like
more in line than I would have expected, honestly.
Yes.
Yeah. Hello. Yeah. Okay. Let's get into it. Starting off with Best Picture. So I still have Oppenheimer winning. I don't really see what would upset it right now, but I think the top 5: Oppenheimer, Poor Things, Barbie, Killers, and American Fiction. I think any of those 5 can win Best Picture. I think American Fiction could be a little surprise surge there. Maybe even Maestro, but I think Maestro is just going to do very well with nominations, but I don't think it'll win. Holdovers. I think Holdovers and American Fiction are kind of 2 similar movies. I think they can both get in there, but I think they can both fulfill that like crowd pleasy movie that we see often do well and often win Best Picture recently. But I think
American
the difference
Fiction
with
a crowd pleasing movie. I know it won.
It's won multiple audience awards. Yeah. I think it's very comedic. I think.
But the Holdovers is like a Christmas movie. Like that one, I would probably associate more, given what I heard of American Fiction. Again,
I think they're similarly crowd pleasy. I just think in terms of the recent movies like that, they usually also, if it like has a chance at winning Best Picture, addresses some sort of social issue, which Holdovers really doesn't. And American Fiction has that crowd pleasy feeling to it that Holdovers similarly has, but it does have a social issue that it's addressing. So I think that does have a chance at winning. And then Color Purple is really a mystery right now. I have faith in it. I think it just has to be good to get in, honestly, because I think it'll get some acting nominations. It'll get some tech nominations. And if it's just good, that'll be fine. Yeah. Those last 2, I'm not confident in really at all. Zone of Interest, I think, can sneak in just off director and maybe 1 tech. That's what I have as A24's movie getting in here. I don't have Past Lives, as people have noticed, no Past Lives. I'm going to have to wait right now for critics to revive that movie, to put it back in there. I just feel like it is falling off. I feel like if it is nominated in Best Picture, like we were talking about earlier, it would be picture and screenplay, like Women Talking. But if you look at the past years of nominations, that doesn't happen very often. Usually you get at least like 1 other thing. And I think it'll be tricky.
For people comparing Past Lives to Women Talking, Sarah Polley had more street cred than Celine Song has. Women Talking had bigger producers behind it. I mean, you had Frances McDormand, who's,
Yeah.
recently Oscar catnip.
Yeah.
And I also think that Women Talking having released late in the season, some may have argued too late, it was more on people's minds because people were seeing it for the first time in the midst of award season compared to Past Live, which has come and gone. People remember it, of course, but I think that will hurt it. I think the summer release could end up really, especially as we saw in 2019, there were so many great movies. I mean, look at Hustlers. That was September and couldn't hold
Yeah.
on. Jennifer Lopez couldn't even hold on to that stripper pole come
Hmm.
when we got The Irishman and 1917 and Joker. Usually there's like in years like this where we see like a lot of films performing very well. It's very rare to see a lot of movies come from before the fall season, and we already have Oppenheimer and Barbie. So that's where
Hmm.
it's going to be interesting to see which ones can hold on. Everything Everywhere, of course, was a spring release, so anything's possible. But I agree with you. I think Past Lives may have to settle for a screenplay nomination.
Solo screenplay nom
So
happens most years,
yeah,
and I think that could be Past Lives this year.
yeah.
And
Yeah, I agree with you. I think this is a clear top 8 for me. And I agree with a
yeah.
different order. I do think that top 3 though is locked, and I would be
Hmm.
pretty surprised if anything else can like challenge that top 3 as far as a win. I think
I
your
think
winner is there.
American Fiction maybe could. I don't think Killers,
I think
unless
it's too
something else
small.
happens, can win. Yeah.
Yeah, I think American Fiction is too small, and I think there's a lot
I mean,
of
Coda won.
yeah, but we were still in a pandemic year. I feel
It's true. It's
Coda
true.
was operating in a different ecosystem, and I just think that we have these 3 big
This is a
throwing
big
Killers
year.
of the Flower Moon, these 4 big epics, and this small little American Fiction is gonna somehow stop Oppenheimer or Barbie.
Hmm.
So we'll see what happens. I think American Fiction, though, if for it to be taken seriously in the way that you're saying, it needs to get Jeffrey Wright and screenplay,
Oh,
I would
yes,
argue.
and
It
we will
needs
get
those
there, but
2 other
yes.
nominations, which it may get. We'll talk about that. But I do think your winner is in that top 3. Though I'm
Yeah.
being oblique about it, I still think Oppenheimer wins this by a country mile.
Hmm.
I just think it's going back into theaters this weekend. I don't think this will be the last re-release it has. I think it is going to be a movie that reminds people of the type of movie they thought was impossible to have be made in this industry now, and Christopher Nolan did it, and he did it with Universal. It's a big studio win. Full all-star cast that used to be a testament and like something that you would see in many Best Picture winners in a past age. So yeah, I definitely agree with you there. I think Barbie is a serious contender because I think it's going to have the crafts.
Yeah.
It could do very well with the guilds. It's a very popular movie, but in a way that, again, like Oppenheimer, is respected. And then I think Poor Things is your more independent darling. So I
Hmm.
think that's a very clear 3 for me. The 2 where we
Yeah.
disagree is the bottom 2. I see
Hmm.
Zone of Interest being a little divisive, and I
Okay.
being the type of movie that people don't maybe want to think about after they see it, and that hurts you. Even just looking at the
Yes.
past Jonathan Glazer's work, it's not the type of films. It's like Ari Aster. Like he may be a great filmmaker, but he's
Yes.
not one
I
that like you have to. I think to be in Best Picture, you almost 99% of the time have to be a movie you want to keep watching over and over again. And that's one I don't think you're putting on a second time. I think it's a very
No, but I think there will be. I'll be one of those movies that I think you either love it or hate it. I think there will be a lot of people very passionate about it. That I think
yeah.
can sneak into one of those last few spots.
Yeah, so we'll see. I think we also have to see how it plays. What's its per theater average when it comes out? May December.
Hmm.
I'm really on the line with. I think I don't know if the Netflix element is going to hurt it or hinder it. The 2 that I currently have is I think with the right traction and when people start to really see this movie, I think that this is going to capture people in the same way that Past Lives did. It currently has 99% of Rotten Tomatoes, which we're seeing, I think, uniformity as far as the response to this film. You've seen it, and I think you can talk on this, and that's All of Us Strangers.
Oh, that's
I
yeah. Okay, I was wondering where you were going. Okay.
Yes,
Yes. Yeah.
I think that this could be a nice little surprise, but I think one that has a lot of the elements we're talking about in one with a lot of these
Oh, yeah.
honorable mentions and these movies on the bubble. And then the other one I had is because I was looking at this list, and yes, I have Poor Things, but I really think we needed another international film in the mix
Mhm.
here, I think, to
Oh, for
represent
sure.
that voting block. And I think, like Triangle of Sadness, go with the one
Yep.
that A,
Yeah.
won the Palme d'Or, and B, is mostly in English, and that's
Mhm.
Anatomy of a Fall. I think that this is a genre that people enjoy, has a great leading performance from Sandra Hüller, who's having a great
Mhm.
year with Zone of Interest as well.
Yeah.
I just saw it. It's good. I wouldn't say it's one of my. I think when all is said and done, it won't make my personal top 10.
Okay.
But also, it's a film that I'm interested in maybe seeing again. You know, because whenever you're watching a movie of that nature, you're so distracted on
Mhm.
solving it that maybe you're not getting into it thematically as much as you want. So I'm interested to
Yeah.
give it another try. But those are the two I have. And I think those two to me make more sense when I'm looking at the full picture of what we're looking at. May
Totally.
December Zone of Interest are pictures that I could see get in there. But when I look at the
Mhm.
other 8 and kind of look at this with broad strokes, it makes sense that a film like Anatomy of a Fall and All of Us Strangers gets in there.
I completely agree. Those are my 11 and 12, I believe. Yeah. So I think there's a pretty clear top 12 or 13, also including Past Lives, in terms of movies that could get into Best Picture. Um, in terms of Anatomy of a Fall, I do worry about it not being the international pick, and also, I don't know, I just feel like there might be, in terms of the movies that like the foreign films that do get in, they're usually a little more artsy, more like Zone of Interest than in Anatomy of a Fall. But I could also see Anatomy of a Fall get in there easily as well. Yeah, I think it could also, yeah, could be
Yeah.
easily as strong. I don't know about, we'll get to director next, but I think Glazer is probably, that's also why I have it in picture. Glazer, I think, is stronger in director than Justine Triet
Mhm.
is. And then May, December, I'm not totally confident in this. I do think most years besides last year, ever since Netflix has been a big contender, and I think the Roma year, um, the Netflix has gotten 2 movies in. And I think this should be their number 2. Apparently, based on their FYC page, it might not be, but I think it should be. And then you look at the awards nomination package it can get actress. I no spoiler. I probably don't think it will, but I think it can easily get supporting actor, actress, and screenplay, and maybe one other thing. But those 3 alone, those are 3 pretty big above the line nominations that I think are stronger than Anatomy of a Fall, which would just be actress and screenplay on its best
Mhm.
day. And All of Us Strangers, which I think could do really well on its best day. I need to see more people see that movie and see how they feel about it, because
Yeah.
it's widely liked, but it is a little divisive when you look at the reactions in terms of how people interpret the ending. And there are some people who find it to be like another one of those like gay trauma movies where it's like you can never tell happy stories. It's like a little antiquated. I've seen some people say. I don't personally
Well, if you want
really
your
agree with
happy gay
that.
story, Barbie's in the mix already. That can balance
Yeah,
it out.
that's true. That's true. And the Academy tends to go for the less happy ones anyways.
Yeah.
But yeah, I could also see that easily getting in there. If that is a strong contender, I would say it's probably picture, actor, actress, and screenplay. So that's the same overall haul as May December would be. So I do think May December is being underrated in terms of that.
Yeah.
And we'll get into those categories where I think it can sneak in.
I
But
just have to see
any
if
other
that if
thoughts?
those 2 movies are gonna be a taste issue. I
Hmm.
think Zone of Interest in May, December, if enough people can get behind them, um, because I do think they're more niche than the rest of the
I don't think May
potential
December is
contenders.
very niche, honestly. I think the whole campiness has been, I think people read it in different ways. Some people think it's campy. I think most people interpret it as an overall drama, and there are some campy moments. But I think it'll actually be very popular on Netflix. I think it's a pretty.
Yeah.
I think it'll appeal to a general audience. I think it can do well at awards like SAG. I mean, Netflix
Yeah,
does
yeah, definitely.
their does very well
I
there.
always have PTSD from the Carol year and how easily it's why,
Hmm.
again, I always have
Yeah.
whenever Carrie Mulligan's names come up, as much as I'm a fan of hers, I'm always a little worried because I'm like, they seem to be
Hmm.
fine dismissing you. So we'll see.
No,
I'm rooting
it's
again. May December is one of my more anticipated films of the
Oh, it's so
season.
good.
So
I think it's my number 4 of the year so far. It might be 3. I'd have to double check, but it's very, very good. I am rooting
okay.
for it. Then some honorable mentions, as I mentioned, my 11 and 12 there are All of Us Strangers and Anatomy of the Fall. Past Lives could still sneak in there. Society of Snow, which premiered at the AFI Film Festival, if Netflix wants to, I guess, have a number two that isn't May December, I do think, because this I think will get into the international category. J.A. Bayona is a well-known director, so I think that also helps. I think based on
He
the
made a
reviews from
billion
Annabelle
dollar
Film
movie.
Festival, he did. Also, Michael Giacchino's score was highlighted, so that could also be a contender. I don't think it will be a thing, but I think it should be on your radar now after the AFI Film Festival, where there was a lot of praise and love for it. And then everything else, I don't really like. Priscilla, I don't really see that happening. Napoleon is a mystery, but even if it's great, like The Last Duel, I don't think it could get some tech nominations, but I don't think it'll get in there. You didn't like The Last Duel, so I shouldn't say it was great. But
No, I did not.
it
You said
was
that
great.
very confidently, as if the
Yep, as
overall
if the
people
other
are on your
person.
side.
I think the overall people all are on my side. Comment, guys. Pro Last Duel or anti Last Duel? I am pro. We represent both. We are pro and anti here. And then
Yes.
Air. I think Amazon has switched to American fiction. I think as Ezra, he mentioned it earlier. Where did the comment go? He's seeing it again soon. Amazon has posted a bunch of award screenings, which tells me they recognize it's a strong awards contender. They were originally doing, I think, like 52 FYC screenings for Air, and they like cut that by more than half. I think they realized that
As
they have a big
as they
contender here
should.
that
Sorry,
isn't.
Air fans. I just
Oh yeah, we can both be
that's not an
anti-Air
awards.
here.
Yeah.
That is not even a
I mean,
good
we're not anti anything. We're just, we have to
I'm anti-Air. Sorry.
Saltburn
like
again.
Air.
I think like Napoleon, it's a mystery to me. I know people have seen Saltburn compared to Napoleon, but
There have been more recent reactions that were more negative than I expected. I forget where it's screened, but I think it'll be too divisive to really be anything.
I'm leaning that way as well.
And
But
then
it's one to keep an eye
Spider-Verse
out on.
is just animated at this point. I know neither of us, I think, ever really thought it would be the
No.
big thing. I know lots of people hope for it to be. It's probably maybe
It's
still
in
my
my
top 10 of the year.
it's still in my top 10.
I think it's like my
love
number
the
9
film,
right now. Yeah.
but
They
yeah,
don't
I
like
just think that
animated movies.
if Soul couldn't get in a pandemic year where there were only what I think there were 8 nominees, which I know we weren't in the year of 10 yet, but like it's not like there were 10, like there were 8 and Soul couldn't get in. That told me everything I need to know about how animation is seen as far as Best Picture goes.
Yep. We saw it last year with Pinocchio too. And The Taste of Things, that's now France's submission. I don't think it'll happen, but I needed something to put at number 20, so it's an even number. Before we get into Best Director,
you could put Quantumania at 20.
Or I could have put, where did that go? The Flash, the single worst movie of the year.
Oh my god! Though, what did I see? Oh, Five Nights at Freddy's. Whew, that's some stiff competition.
Yeah, that also wasn't good, but I think The Flash is still worse.
Yeah. Five Nights at Freddy's at least was an original movie compared to The Flash. God, that's annoying.
Neither of them are.
My worst of list is so
that will be fun at the end of the year. The first half of the year was rough. I'll just say that.
First half of the year. I'm like
the first half of the year.
I know.
I think
you went to NIFI or whatever you call it.
Yeah. I'm counting my NIF watches in the second half of the year, so that's true. I might have a bit of a skewed opinion on that.
Yeah. All right.
Let's see. So I get why it's not here. Yeah, that's what I like to be a little gutsy at every time of the year. But there's, I think, a common top 10 that I think does include Anatomy of a Fall instead of May, December, and maybe I don't think
I feel like we have about like the consensus is
we're a balance
Anatomy of a Fall and May, December, or one of the like we each have the conventional pick and then we have our risky pick. So we'll say it's you have fun. It's October. It's November now.
Yeah, it is November. Oh god. Well, yeah. By the way, guys, these are our October updated predictions. We're pretending it is still the 31st, so then we can do our November updated predictions because we didn't have an October updated predictions. So these are our October predictions. Towards the end of November, after having seen more stuff, we will do those as well. Color Purple, not in the top 10, especially based off what we know personally. I just think people will forget about it. I think because it's releasing so close to voting and stuff and in December, unless there's screener issues, I don't think people will really forget about it. And when you look at these nominations, I will say the only really diverse casts here are Barbie, kind of, but that's still led by 2 white people. And I think Color Purple is really the main diverse
American fiction
here. Oh, American Fiction. Yes, that's true.
Yeah.
That's true. American
I
Fiction and Color
From
Purple.
my experience with the show, the Broadway musical,
Mhm.
it's a very stirring story. And the music is well done. I mean, it's won Tonys for multiple productions.
Mhm.
And I think given what we'll talk about in supporting actress, in the crafts, I just think there's going to be too
Mhm.
much goodwill. And I do think that I'm hoping, I'm worried, and I'm hoping this is not the case where Wonka and The Color Purple, both Warner Brothers musicals, cancel each other out. Um,
I think they have very different audiences.
they do, but also like a musical audience. I mean, listen, as a true musical fan, I'll see both multiple times.
I think that's what
Um,
the true musical fans will probably do.
yeah, and I hope that's the case. And they're going after. I think one is more highbrow, one is more family friendly. So,
Mhm.
but I do think that I imagine I see a world where Color Purple is definitely. I think Color Purple and Wonka are definitely making more than Aquaman 2. And
I
then it's
don't
a
know.
question of how much does the which property has more nostalgia for it. You would think it would be Wonka, but I could see Color Purple maybe seeming fresher, and that could end up winning the holiday movie season. We'll see. We'll see. I think
Maybe.
it could be very strong. It could be very strong.
It could be.
Yeah.
Yes, we can talk about that. It's covering up Anthony. Did you hear the news that the WGA Awards will take place after the Academy Awards next year? So yeah, they won't be able to help us in terms of a precursor. That's okay. The WGA, lots of stuff is ineligible anyways, so the winners sometimes don't even line up completely.
That's
Um,
hilarious.
but
I
it
had
will
not seen
make
that.
stuff. Oh, that they're taking place in April now. Yeah, so
Yeah.
we'll have to see. I
Which
don't think the Academy Awards will be pushed. I think we'll have a SAG
no.
deal within the next week, honestly.
Yeah.
Um, but
Which,
yeah,
granted, I understand the WG because I do think there's a problem with a lot of, I mean, the fact that like their awards are only framed in the importance of their lead up to the Oscars. So I could understand the WGA, maybe other organizations wanting to be like, no, we're giving these
yeah.
awards out because we want this, and we're not going to. But also, I can't imagine winning an Oscar for best screenplay and then going to the WGA and losing. Like, I think that's an
I'd be fine
interesting.
with it.
But
You won the
that's an
Oscar.
interesting, like, I just won the best prize in the industry and I'm gonna lose the WGA.
Yeah.
Like, or imagine I lost at the Oscars and now I'm going to the WGA. It's like I've already lost the Oscar.
That would suck
Um,
more because then if the WJ were before the Oscars, then you could maybe be like, oh, that would have helped me maybe on the trajectory to the Oscar. But I like personally having less precursors before the Oscars
yes,
because I
I
like it
agree.
to be less predictable.
I mean, I honestly think that I think the guilds should share. I like the in the heyday, I liked the Golden Globes. They were a lot of fun. And
They don't
if
really
they
help with predicting though.
they don't help with predicting. People think they do, but in the end,
They
it's
maybe help with nominations. The winners
yeah.
might help them get
And
nominated.
listen, the
That's really it.
speech used to be the dress rehearsal for the Oscars. In the end,
I mean, yeah.
if it's the Golden Globes or the Critics' Choice, I think the first or second weekend in January, having that award show to kick us off, like if it was that show, the main guilds, and then the Oscars, I think we'd be fine. But also, like I don't know, I think that the Oscars, it's just there's so much like discombobulation with this whole thing.
There is
And I feel like we're in a growing pains era for awards right now. So we'll see what happens.
for sure. And yes, I do think May December is probably their number two. I don't think Rust. I think Rustin's kind
No.
of dying off. To be honest, I don't think that's going to be big at all.
Is there even a trailer for Rustin?
There is. There is. It came out
Okay.
before the festivals, I believe. I think it came out pre-Telluride. It
I
looks
think
like
I've
a
seen it
decent
once.
biopic.
It's like
Um,
no word. It feels like they're afraid of it. I think I said that last week. There's no talk at all.
yeah, there isn't, and it comes out on. I mean, Naiad. Oh my God, Naiad comes out in 2 days on Netflix. There's not a lot of talk about that either. So I think maybe they've realized where their priorities are, and I think
Which
they
I
picked the right.
frankly, SAG strike or no, like whatever's going to happen with SAG, I think that's probably the hardest thing hurting Rustin in particular, but some of these movies in that if your main vehicle, if the main thing moving your thing along is the actor and they can't promote, they can't get the
Mhm.
word out, it's going to hurt you. I think that's why Oppenheimer and Barbie are fine because one of the main stars is the director and that's helping you.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, agreed. Yeah, Ezra, who has seen Saltburn, Says it's yummy, but the Oscars won't touch it. I would agree with that. Then we have some Five Nights at Freddy's fans amongst us, which makes sense. It got an A cinema score, the bite of 87 for most popular movie moment.
Oh my
I don't
God.
think so. I don't think they're doing that anymore. But yeah,
I saw Five Nights at Freddy's the same night I saw Dix the musical.
oh,
It was
wow.
like the inverse of Barbenheimer. I do not recommend.
That sounds like a lot.
Ooh.
All
right.
Some different. It's Past Life Spider-Verse. Spider-Verse, that's interesting. I think Spider-Verse is kind of done for, but we'll see. Yeah, that's kind of how I am with Past Lives, except inverse. You're sticking with Spider-Verse unless Awards Bodies don't go for it. I'm waiting to see what Awards Bodies do with Past Lives to see if
I mean, again, I think that Spider-Verse to get in, there would have to be enough people really acknowledging the craft of the film and really acknowledging how the animation medium was pushed even further than the original film did. And I just don't think enough of those conversations are happening, unfortunately.
it's falling
Again,
off.
given what I've seen, I mean, there's probably, when all is said and done, if you look at our list, I'm sure there are movies that I would prefer seeing taken off in place of Spider-Verse. So this isn't me having a grudge against Spider-Verse. I just, again, it's a part 2 movie. It ends on a cliffhanger. I really think it's so important what you feel when the movie ends, and I'm not sure people are thinking best picture when it ends. The other thing too is I feel like for most, if not all of the nominees, there has to be someone who thinks it should win best picture. And I don't know if that's happening with Spider-Verse. I don't know if it's anybody's number one outside of maybe animation realm people, which I think hurts it. I think that hurts animation overall. You have to have some people think it's the best picture of the year to get nominated.
I think people with animated movies, which is why they don't get in anymore. Same with documentaries. I don't think a documentary will ever get in. They have their own categories. They're like, oh, I'll vote for it there.
Yeah.
So they kind of relegate it.
And I for some reason that doesn't stop. But I listen. There were a day where international was the same thing, and then they had their day in the sun, and now it's kind of expected. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. Hopefully, one day an animated film wins Best Picture. Maybe it'll be Beyond the Spider-Verse.
Yeah.
But I don't think that day is.
I don't
today.
think that will be this decade. Let's move on to Best Director, where I've got Christopher Nolan at number 1. He is winning. I'm pretty confident in that. That's the above the line category.
Lock it in now. Go to Vegas, bet your money. Nobody is taking this away. This idea that we're going to give Scorsese his second before
he's the strongest competitor against him, because I do think
I have Yorgos.
I think he has a much better narrative than Yorgos. I think more people would want to vote for. I mean, Yorgos maybe.
Yorgos' movie hasn't opened yet. Let's see what happens when it opens.
Hasn't. And out of those 3, I would personally vote for Yorgos, but I don't think that's indicative of the Academy overall. But yeah, I think it's Nolan's time. Yorgos is, it's undeniable. Those top 3 are undeniable. Everyone has those in there. Jonathan Glazer, I do think will be we've seen it like every year for the past few years. What was it? The Cannes International pick, which last year, previous years it was, I think, Ryusuke Hamaguchi. It was, what's his name? Ruben Östlund. What's his name? Who did the Cold War? Paulo Palakowski. Bong Joon-ho. We've seen it most years for the past few years. So I think Jonathan Glazer will beat that.
I understand that logic. Those movies got in other places. In a world where I don't have Zone of Interest getting in for Best Picture, I think that's where I'm struggling. I'm like, they're not just going to give, like, granted, but Cold War got in, I think, for cinematography as well as international film.
That's exactly what I have. Zone of Interest getting.
Oh, okay. All right. So you're
cinematography director.
Have you seen it or no?
No, I wish I had.
Okay.
But
we'll see. Maybe when I see it, I'll change my tune. Again, I'm just very worried that it's going to be too stark and people are not going to want to jump into it. Especially because we have a very strong lineup.
It's a subject matter that they do like, and it's a different take on that they haven't seen before. The Academy does love Holocaust movies. And I think there will be enough people who do love it, and especially his direction, because last year we all thought the international pick was going to be Edward Berger, but he didn't have enough of a reputation, I think, within the director's branch to get in. So they then went with Ruben Östlund, who I think had more of that. And I think that's the same thing with Justin Triet and Jonathan Glazer here.
I want to see how The Holdovers plays, because I think it's Alexander Payne. I think it's Alexander Payne and Jonathan Glazer fighting for that 5th spot. With Color Purple looking in, we have to see how much of a technical achievement that is. That could be something. But
Yeah.
I think currently it's Payne and Glazer. I have Greta Gerwig in my number 3 position. I think that
Interesting. I used
she
to
is very
not have
strong.
her. I used to not have her in my 5 at all. I thought she was going to be our Ryan Coogler, Denis Villeneuve, James Cameron, plenty of other Kaczynski last year, who like they get nominated. They'd like do the big blockbuster movie where they think the money is the win, and they get nominated at the DGA, but then they miss at the Oscars. But then I think maybe she's actually more like Todd Phillips in that
I
way,
d-
where it's a
well,
big
as I've
financial hit, and it's more of like it's seen by the director's branch as a little more of an
Mhm.
auteur thing. I mean, she's gotten nominated before, so I think she will get in there. I think she could still miss, to be honest, but I
I
think
don't
there's
see
just
it.
going to be
I
enough
think
love for Barbie.
there's such love for Barbie, and I think that I've said multiple times on the show, I do think this is, another Joker situation where it yes, it's a big blockbuster, but it has a lot of indie roots. The way the
Hmm.
movie is constructed is not constructed in the same way as a big blockbuster.
Yeah.
It's not constructed in the Marvel machine.
Hmm.
And I think it's such you can't take away her point of view on that movie. Like, there's no way you come. Like, it made her a household name. There are people now that I think she's one of the people like Christopher Nolan who like people know, like they'll go see a Greta Gerwig movie now because that's what
Hmm.
Barbie achieved for her. I think that's a
Yeah,
really unique space, especially for women. And
for
I just
sure.
think that for me, I think because for me, I have Nolan, Yorgos, Greta, Martin Scorsese, and then the Payne or Glazer combo.
Okay.
Um,
Do you have Payne
and
right now instead of Glazer?
I have Payne right now just because I think Holdovers
Okay.
is the more trusted bet. And
In
we
picture,
saw
yes.
him,
Yeah.
and I believe he got in for The Descendants, I
He's been
believe.
nominated 3 times
Yeah,
before.
so
But I
they
believe
like him.
all of his big movies he's gotten into director. I just think it's more
Yeah.
competitive this year than those
And
movies.
Holdovers for me is my number 4 in picture, so I'm a little
Oh,
bit
okay.
stronger on it. I think that
Hmm.
it's not in content, but I think in form, it's very similar to Green Book. It's the movie that's going to be very heartwarming,
Yeah.
and I think appeal to the older Academy members. I just love the texture. I love that it looks like it was like shot on film and everything. I can't wait to see
Hmm.
it.
Or
I was
document.
going to go on Saturday or Sunday for the premiere, the early screening, but I was like, you know
Yeah.
what? I want to wait until it's got to be November. It's got to be the holiday season
Yeah.
to see this
Yeah.
movie.
That's true.
Um,
Post Halloween.
yeah. But so yeah, I just think that I think honestly, and I'm interested what you think because you were the one that was more positive on Killers of the Flower Moon. I
Hmm.
feel like this is becoming another Irishman.
Oh, for sure.
So, so
The only
like,
thing it has a chance at winning is Lily Gladstone. That's it.
which maybe this is a good segue to Best Actress.
We can quickly talk about the honorable mentions. I have
Yes.
Payne just missing. Blitz Bazzoul, I do think is being underestimated in terms of. I think if that movie is well liked, and I mean it's going to get a bunch of tech noms, multiple acting noms, I think I could definitely see him being a first-time nominee here. Cooper, it's interesting with Bradley Cooper. I think he'll get the Golden Globe nomination. He might even get DGA, but then end up being the guy at DGA who then misses at the
They just don't
Oscars.
want to go there, and I don't know why.
They don't like
Like,
the actors,
not anymore, it
directors.
seems. I mean, they like you if you're Greta Gerwig.
Yeah, but I think she's honestly seen more as a director now than an actor, and she's not
Now
in the movie. Him being in the movie, I think, hurts him as well. He's like the lead of
maybe
the
that's
movie.
it because he's going to get nominated
If
for
Greta Gerwig was
acting and
Barbie,
picture.
yeah,
That's an
I,
interesting point.
yeah, and I think Cord Jefferson could maybe. I think he'll be winning a lot of those first time awards, like at the
Oh
DGA
yeah,
and stuff.
DGA for Celine Song too, right?
It will be. That's an interesting battle
That's a
between them. I do
race.
think
That's a
American Picture
race.
is a stronger movie, but I think Celine Song does. I haven't seen American Fiction, but from what I've heard, it seems like maybe that's Past Lives might have more of a directorial auteur vibe to it than American Fiction. Then Todd Haynes, I'm just throwing him out there because I wanted to happen. But
It's Todd Haynes. You can't discount him.
Yeah.
All right.
Let's see. Just quickly.
Oh,
Yorgos is stronger than Scorsese.
I agree.
I probably should. I'm not. The movie's weird. The director's branch does like weird more than most people. So,
I mean, listen, it doesn't matter. 2 through 5, they're losing to Nolan.
it
That's
doesn't
what's
matter.
going to
Yeah, it
happen.
really doesn't matter how you rank them. That's true.
And I don't care.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, I mean, we've seen it. Cold War, Parasite, Another Round, Drive My Car, Triangle of Sadness. I think that's going to be Glazer this year, personally, if there is.
But hang on, can you bring that comment back up?
Yeah.
I think with all those movies, they were big critics' favorites.
I think Zone of Interest will be.
Let's see, because again, I think that we're in a very interesting year where the studios, more so than most years, the studios really delivered quality work.
Mhm.
And if they suck up a lot, because we talked about this with Past Lives in the past, haha, which is that movie needs that critic support. And if it's going to go to other places, that's not going to help Past Lives. And so
Mhm.
that's my one thing is like, specifically, and then also we have to acknowledge Another Round, Drive My Car. These were pandemic years as well, so I think that
I think
helped
Zone of
them a
Interest
little
is going to
bit.
be a top tier critic awards contender. I think it could win multiple of like the top.
Yeah,
What are they called? Like the top three critic things, whatever they
yeah,
are. The trifecta.
LAFCA,
The
yeah, the
trifecta.
trifecta.
I think
So
it'll
we'll
do
see.
very well.
Again, I think that we just have to acknowledge that the year that, now granted, Parasite won in 2019,
Mhm.
or won in 2020 for 2019. So this does happen in years that is very densely populated as far as a lot of these big heavy hitters.
Mhm.
But I also think that that year in particular, a lot of those heavy hitters were very similarly constructed with very similar appeal. 1917, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, Irishman, and The Joker, very male centric, and they could have cut each other off at the knees. You look at the big movies this year. I mean, Oppenheimer and Barbie, as we've joked about, are as far away as possible in some
Opposites.
regards. So that's why I think that it's not going to be as easy funneling through the big heavy hitters if you're a smaller
Mhm.
independent international picture, because when you have Color Purple, Barbie, Oppenheimer, Poor Things, and Holdovers to a degree, and Kill is the Flower Moon, and Maestro, like these are wildly different epic movies. And I know he's calling Holdovers an epic movie, but I think Alexander Payne is such a like it's such an establishment at this point. When he's on fire, he's on fire. Um, and that I do think that could grow and grow and grow and be this really sentimental favorite pick. So it's
Oh
going to be
yeah.
interesting.
I mean, I have him at my number 6 for a reason. I just think it's a more competitive year than the years he has been nominated. And I
Yeah.
think it's less of I mean, when you look at what the directors go for, it's not I mean, it has that, like you mentioned, the nice like
Yeah.
Christmas holiday, like old time movie vibe, which I think people can appreciate how there aren't a ton of movies made like this anymore.
Yeah.
And this is being made. But I think when you look at their past stuff, I think Glazer is something that might
Yeah.
speak to the director's branch more than that.
I would say if you're going to argue that Payne makes it off the list, which I'm not, but if you're going to say he's off the list, even though he got
Mhm.
on in previous years, it's the Taron Egerton rule. It's Rami Malek can win Best Actor in one year, and then the next year he's not even Taron isn't even nominated because it's just the field. One year is stronger than the
Yeah.
other.
Yeah. And I would agree with this. Maestro's I have issues with the screenplay. I have no issues with the direction. The direction is incredible.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
he
agree
really leveled up
completely.
from A Star Is Born. Yeah. Oh, have you seen it?
Do you not like? No, I agree. I agree with the Steven
Oh,
Spielberg. If it
okay.
was,
Oh, the
I
Steven
think,
Spielberg part, yes.
yeah. But I listen. A Star Is
Sorry.
Born. Did you like A Star Is Born?
Oh, I did, yeah. I really liked
Okay.
it. I mean,
All right. So
Maestro is
you
very
you already
similarly
liked him
structured.
and you thought he leveled up even from
In terms of direction, yes. I think A Star Is Born
cool.
is a better movie than Maestro.
Cool. I listen, I love Bradley Cooper. I think again, I will not be upset if he wins Best Actor because he deserves an Oscar at this point.
We'll get to that after this next one, but
We
yeah.
will, but
I won't
I
be
love
upset either because it's a
no.
very good performance.
Yeah, but I loved A Star Is Born. It's 2018. I've looked back is one of my favorite years. I mean, I look at that top
Oh,
four.
really?
My top four personally was The Favorite, First Man, Roma, and A Star Is Born. And I think like
Oh,
Hereditary, Three Identical Strangers, Black Klansman, If
yeah.
Bill Street, like I could
They
keep
just
going.
didn't nominate the right stuff.
It was such, that was definitely one of the bigger years between what should have been nominated and what was the discrepancies. I
Mhm.
agree with you. I mean,
Yeah.
Three Identical Strangers for
I
Best Documentary. How and Won't You Be My Neighbor?
I know.
Sorry. Yes.
Yeah. And we won't
Cheyenne,
mention
Cheyenne.
who did win. We won't mention that.
Even though I
Um,
did 2 minutes ago in an analogy.
we only one
All right.
mention per stream. It's like Voldemort. Okay. Best actress. Speaking of Maestro, I've done it. I put Carey Mulligan up
Ooh.
top. I have seen the top. I think this is a 3-horse race. I think
I
Gladstone,
agree.
Stone, and Mulligan are the only people who can win here. I've seen all three. Emma Stone is my favorite of the three, but I'm waiting for everyone to see that movie. That is a weird movie. The stuff she does in it is really weird. It's not like I know people say Michelle Yeoh, but Michelle Yeoh had a very like emotional performance. It's just very different. Poor Things Weird is very different from Everything Everywhere Weird. And I've never seen a performance like that ever win in the category. She could still win. Her being Emma Stone and it being an incredible
That was my point. I
performance
think it helps that she's
does
Emma
help.
Stone.
If she's able to campaign too, she's very charismatic, so that will help. But Lily Gladstone, I think if she was the actual lead of the movie, would be a big threat here. She has more of the more typical awards stuff that people go for, but it is a little more subtle than what usually wins around here. Carey Mulligan is just the perfect combination. It's the kind of thing that they award all the time, where it's I mean, it's very, I won't spoil, I mean, even though it's real life, what happens in the third act, but she gets to do the third act is really all about her. I mean, she's the whole heart of the movie. She's like, and even though Leonard Bernstein is like our protagonist, even they're co-protagonists, but we're following Leonard Bernstein. We're actually following their marriage more than Leonard Bernstein's story, but he is like, she is everything to him. So she is just as present in the movie as he is. She gets a lot to do in the third act, a lot of stuff that previous Best Actress winners have done before. She will make you cry. You will leave in the third act thinking about how Carey Mulligan made you cry, which I think is very strong. So I don't know. I can see it happening. And the other two, Sandra Huller, I put her in there. I think she'll be strong enough to be nominated. I don't think she'll be.
She's your Isabelle Huppert nomination this year.
Yeah, and then Annette Bening, I put her back in. I was looking at the past few years, and every year for like forever, there's been a veteran actress nominated. You can look at the past few years. Who was our veteran actress this year? It's Annette Bening. I don't really see anyone else being that. With the older Academy voters who want to vote for a veteran actor, I think it would be Annette Bening. But I'm not confident in that at all. I could put Kaylee Spaney in there. If Color Purple is huge, I could put Fantasia in there. I do think it does hurt her a little bit that she's not playing the younger character role, which seems to be expanded in this film. There's two separate actresses, so that made hurt her. Then Margot Robbie for Barbie, maybe. I mean, Greta's got her last two lead actresses nominated for her films. I just think
she's 2 for 2.
It's a
lot. 1,000.
She is. I don't think she will be.
I need a sports reference, so that should be taken seriously.
Yeah, but I mean, yeah, Annette Bening.
You're high on May December, though. Why not Natalie?
I am high on May December, and I used to have her in there. I don't think she would be considered a veteran, though, to be honest.
I mean, she's won, and she's been nominated since her win. So
yeah, but I think
no, I agree.
By veteran, I mean a little.
There's Emma Stone and Natalie Portman, and then there's Annette Bening and Meryl Streep.
Yeah, that's a very different kind of like Annette Bening's more of the Frances McDormand, Kate Blanchett. When you look at the past people, Glenn Close. I mean, it happens every year. I think
Kate Blanchett though is kind of in the middle. Like the fact
she's
that
kind of in the middle.
That caliber is remarkable because she's I mean, she's not Meryl Streep. Like she's not that generation. No. I don't think.
No. But yeah, Kaylee Spaney, I do think is being underestimated. I think there's a good chance she could win a lot of critics awards and then sneak in there. In a less competitive year, I would definitely have her in there.
If she was a celebrity, yes. I think unfortunately
she's really
an unknown. And I think people are not going to be uniform on Priscilla. I think people are going to be divisive on it. And because she is the movie, she embodies the movie. It's not a situation where you can like isolate her from the rest of it. Unfortunately, I don't see it happening. We'll see what happens when it opens wide this weekend. But I think
I do hope
Elvis fans, Elvis the person, not Elvis the movie.
And well, I think the voters would prefer that kind of movie than this kind of movie, to be honest.
Yeah.
And I hope either way that this does to Kaylee Spaney's career what Elvis did to Austin Butler's career, because from everything I've heard, she's incredible in it. The Natalie Portman, as I mentioned, she's incredible in May December. She has a really showy monologue. I think it's too competitive. And Greta Lee for Past Lives, I just don't think that's going to happen, unfortunately.
Yeah, I'm really torn. Well, not again. We're pretty in lockstep here. Given that I haven't seen Maestro, your confidence in it is swaying me to go in Mulligan's direction. I think Maestro, again, probably it makes sense that it wins something. And Mulligan has been nominated twice before. Is this really respected individual? I'm always worried with her.
This might be, at least from what I've seen, her best performance yet. Honestly.
Yeah. So I think that helps. The fact that people think it's better than Promising Young Woman helps because that means she's improving. It's a question of whether she can win alongside Bradley Cooper. That's a question we're about to answer. But yeah, I think when I see the movie, I'm going to feel more confident in it. What you were saying kind of reminded me, though, of what I said about Michelle Williams in The Fablemans, like as far as like she's the heart of the movie and she's been passed up before. This is her chance to shine. She really is the movie. So I just hope that
Just wait until you see what Carey Mulligan gets to do compared to Michelle
yeah,
Williams, though.
I think Carey Mulligan.
Very,
I think it's a
it's
more
long.
dramatic. It's a denser
Oh
role.
yeah,
Um,
and she's in it just as much as Bradley Cooper is, to be honest.
yeah.
It's
So,
yeah.
and that makes sense to me. I think that would make sense. I think because Emma Stone, again, she's already won, and I feel like, again, except if you're Frances McDormand, I feel like we're getting away from these like so many people like just stacking the awards. I do
I
think
don't
that
think they really even think about that when voting. I think it's just
yeah.
if you are the best.
Yeah, but I mean, best. I listen. I think Michelle
It's
Yeoh
subjective,
wins
yeah.
because she hasn't won before. I think that is definitely a factor of why she wins. Kate Blanchett has
yeah.
2, and so I do think they take it in consideration. How many have you won? And
The
Emma Stone
narrative's
just
huge, yeah.
won. You know, La La Land was what 2017 when she won her award. So, I do think though it's those 2. I think Lily Gladstone is firmly in number 3. Unfortunately, given just she doesn't have the same screen time as her other contenders, and the movie. The movie suffers because of that, because she's extraordinary. But I think that, you know, she's kind of hindered being in lead actress. Sandra Hüller is my 4. So we may have the top 4 in the same positions. Again, I have to see Maestro and Poor Things. You've seen both, so you have more perspective on that. And then again, I'm really thrown because I don't think Annette Bening is happening. I think Naiad is coming out too early. It's on Netflix.
It's funny. Ezra, who has seen Naiad, and lots of people have seen Naiad, call it a joke, but older people like the movie, and I think that's why I'm appealing to with it.
I don't know. Maybe it's the Florence Foster Jenkins of this year.
I mean, they nominated Glenn Close for Hillbillyology.
In supporting, I think it's completely different when we're talking about lead. It's different.
Their taste isn't completely there. There are voters who will go for it.
I don't think Priscilla is happening. We have to see with Color Purple. The song she gets to sing, her 11 o'clock number, could get her in here. So we have to see. And then Natalie Portman as well. I'm torn because I love her. And so
it's one of her best recent performances.
We have to see if I could see it. I think right now I really don't have a 5 because there's so many question marks around these movies. Because my thing is, I don't know if Margot Robbie is going to happen, but in a way, it kind of makes sense that it should happen. She's the lead and one of the top contenders for Best Picture. It's her movie. She willed that movie into existence. She brought on Greta Gerwig. So it kind of makes sense that she's there. And I do think there's enough.
Or will they honor her in Best Picture as a producer?
Well, that definitely will happen. But I don't know if they think that way, where it's like, okay, she's covered. Think they do. You know, so I don't know. I really don't know. Maybe I put Natalie Portman. I got it. I gotta see
it's
Color
really
Purple.
hard.
Because the fact that you brought up that she doesn't play the younger person could affect her, but also that didn't affect Dev Patel in Lion. But again, he was in supporting, not lead.
Yeah.
So I gotta see it. I gotta see Color Purple. So I'm gonna be uncommitted in my 5, but I agree with the top 4.
Boo, everyone boo.
Boo! It's November. It's October.
It's our October predictions. Yes, it is not November.
We have 5 months.
Yeah, if they don't move, which hopefully they don't, but I think they're staying. Yeah. Let's.
All right.
Searchlight knows how to campaign. Don't underestimate Poor Things.
We are not.
Oh, for sure. Poor Things is a huge contender. I just don't. Having seen it, the weirdness. I mean, just like Banshees. Banshees didn't win anything last year. I think it'll do very well. And Banshees is like, once again, nothing compared to how weird this movie is.
We gotta see how many people give points to what Emma Stone does, because that could help her. Like, wow, Emma Stone,
it's her best
she went for it. That's very hard to hear because I love everything. I personally feel like she should have won every time she got nominated. I think she should have 3 Oscars at this point.
I agree with Birdman. I don't know if she should have won for La La Land, honestly.
But like of the category.
Oh, favorite.
Yeah, I think she should have won for favorite. I think that's a brilliant performance.
I think she's a lead, so I have an issue with that.
I know, but again, take away because like I feel like if it was Emma Stone versus Amy Adams for Arrival, that would have been a very tough conveation. But Amy Adams wasn't there. So out of the 5, out of Meryl Streep and Florence Foster Jenkins, Isabelle Huppert and Elle, Ruth Negga in Loving, Natalie Portman and Jackie, and Emma Stone, who would you have voted for?
I'm between Portman and Stone. I
agree. And then I think personally, I thought Emma Stone's performance it was better than if Regina King and If Bill Street Could Talk. So anyway, that's my opinion. I think
Yeah.
I love her, so I'm very happy to hear that.
She's one of the best modern actresses of her generation. I think she's great, and
her, Saoirse, Margot,
she's so strong
Lupita
at comedy
Nyong'o.
too. She's the funniest character in this movie. She's great.
Again, we got to see it.
Let's see. I believe in betting. I think there are a few other people who do, but I do think she's been written off because the movie sucks. Apparently, we'll have to wait until Friday to judge that ourselves.
Your poor movie. You were rooting for this one. You were
until I found out about Diana Nyad and her personal life, and then I was like, well, let's forget about that. Never mind. But I still think Annette Bening is possible. So it's another actress who we will get into soon. On fence about Emma Stone's performance being too weird as a negative or a positive. Based on what she does and what they've awarded in the past, I would lean negative, but it could be like, oh, we've never seen anything like this before. She could win. So we'll have to wait and see. Nyad will be a joke. Warner Brothers does get a lot of lead nominations, so that does help both Margot and Fantasia. I mean, they'll probably have to pick one to campaign more than the other, but we'll see.
They may end up campaigning Fantasia more because Barbie's already taken care of. Like, it's Barbie. Margot is Robbie is Barbie, and it's assumed.
Yeah,
people know how brilliant she is.
Yeah, I agree. Actress was expanded to 8 this year, and every year. I think Best Actress is honestly the best acting category every year. But so many good things, and who knows? Yeah, maybe it's Timothy for Wonka. He
that
just
being
got his
said,
own commercial.
I think Best Actor is stronger this year than it has been in a long time.
Then forever. So we can move on to that.
This might be the strongest Best Actor lineup in a decade.
The 2020 lineup with Riz Ahmed, Anthony Hopkins, Stephen Yeun, Chadwick Boseman. That's a really good lineup. Forget Geralt.
I think this
very good.
This may. I mean, listen. I've seen one of these movies that I have in my top 5.
I have seen 3 of them.
And Cillian Murphy is strong enough to already kind of put it above most years.
Oh, he's stronger than like nearly every other past winner of the last decade, besides maybe Hopkins.
So let's have the conversation, because
I have had Cillian Murphy as my number 1 ever since I saw Oppenheimer. I'm succumbing to it. Bradley Cooper is the much more showy performance. Let's be honest. I think I was just holding on to Cillian Murphy
in
a way.
Cooper has the makeup.
He has the
makeup combo,
so much more showier.
Has proven to be correct, especially in the last couple of years.
Last year with The Whale, I would have much preferred Colin Farrell to win. That's a much better performance in my opinion. But I mean, it was Brendan Fraser all along. Just I think like it might be Bradley Cooper all along here. I think there's a lot more of a narrative for him.
There's definitely more of a narrative for Bradley Cooper, but I do think what we rarely see in Best Actor is a discovery. And that could be like, this could be Cillian Murphy's true.
I don't think it's a discovery though.
Everyone
knows who Cillian Murphy is.
I think people who watch Peaky Blinders know who he is, but if you didn't watch Peaky Blinders,
he's been in all of Nolan's movies.
Yeah, but he was the guy who put a bag over his head. He's not Bradley Cooper. He's not
Bradley Cooper, but I think people know him.
I still think this redefines his career, and I think
it totally changes his career. He's a lead now for sure,
and he's a film lead. I think he that too. Like this is like that's what was so great about this for him, is that he got the avenue to really show himself off. And I do think how the intimate close-ups, the whole movie is on his shoulders. Matt Damon called it one of the greatest performances that he's ever seen. Now, granted, he's in the movie, but I think that I could see a world where Bradley Cooper is Denzel Washington in Fences, and it's this big showy performance, and it's from an actor that we love, but that Cillian Murphy is Casey Affleck, and it's that the intimacy of that performance, the whole movie is resting on that performance, and I could see that
had already had an Oscar by then, though. He had multiple.
Yeah, but I think
Bradley Cooper.
This is the thing about Bradley Cooper, is that
I don't think he's overdue.
He's such a multi-hyphenate. He's such a multi-hyphenate that I think it's assumed he will get it. And so it's a question of how much do people love Cillian Murphy's performance, and I think that they love it. And he is Oppenheimer. And if Oppenheimer is going to be this record-breaking thing, how do you not give it to Cillian Murphy? I think a lot of people are going to have difficulty voting for Oppenheimer up and down their ballot, and then not give it to Oppenheimer. Like, that seems ridiculous when you think about it. And if it was any other person besides Bradley Cooper, Cillian Murphy would win. So I think that I'm currently going to, again, but I haven't seen Maestro. So when I see Maestro, I could change my opinion. I'm
Yeah.
currently having Killian at number 1.
I want to do it so bad. It's just Maestro. It's so much more showy, and it's a good performance.
Yeah.
I'm not
And
going to deny
I
that.
don't see a world. I don't know. I feel like for you to win Best Actor and Best Actress, and that to be the only
Doesn't
thing you
happen
win,
often.
but that
Well,
to be the
makeup.
only thing you win, and makeup.
Makeup.
Okay, that would help. But it just, I don't know. Like I remember when Ma Rainey and they were saying Best Actor, Best Actress. I was like,
Mhm.
I don't buy this.
No.
This is not, you win Best Actor, Best Actress combo when you're a front runner for Best Picture.
Also,
I
worth
don't think
mentioning,
Maestro is.
that was Ma Rainey was Netflix, and Netflix has never won a single lead acting Oscar before. So them winning 2 here would be a
They've
big
only
deal.
won.
They've only won
one.
supporting Laura Dern. I think that's it.
Laura Dern for Marriage Story. That's it, right? Is
That's
there
the only,
another
I
Netflix
think that's the only
performance?
acting one that they've won that I can remember.
They didn't win 2022. 2021, they did not win.
No,
Right? Yeah,
no, I
no.
think that's it.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
2020? No.
They're good at getting actors nominated, but not winning, is what it seems like. Maybe because they get multiple actors nominated, and then they have like multiple to campaign. But
Yeah.
Bradley
So
Cooper and Maestro has the goods. So does Cillian Murphy, but Bradley Cooper and Maestro has the goods that like the Academy likes more. That's what I'd say.
we'll see. We'll see.
I think it's between those two. I don't see anyone else winning.
Definitely. Paul Giamatti, though, is I think a strong number 3. I think there's a lot of but again, I'm higher on the holdovers than you are.
Yeah.
Jeffrey Wright, I think, is a favorite. I think people would love to see him get a nomination. And I think American Fiction is going to do well enough to pull him along.
And we need a first-time nominee here. I think that'll be him.
I know you love that rule. You love that rule.
I do.
So
even though it's been broken, it happens most years. So it'll be him.
So what did I say? Killers of the Flower Moon.
We have Andrew Scott here, the Irishman.
Because I think Leonardo DiCaprio is the Robert De Niro, and I think he's going to miss because getting in just for name doesn't happen. I don't see a world where DiCaprio, I don't know.
I think DiCaprio is much more respected nowadays than De Niro was when Irishman came out, because De Niro was doing War with Grandpa and stuff. DiCaprio
was very after The Irishman.
I know, but he was doing those kind of movies before The Irishman.
Yeah, but he was The Irishman. So there was at the Academy luncheon, he got the biggest applause. So there for when the year of The Irishman. So they respect him. It's just that the performance doesn't connect with you the same way that these other performances do. I think Andrew Scott is the Paul Mescal of this year.
I want him. He's my favorite performance of this list that I've seen.
So I think it's going to happen. I think your 5 are Murphy, Cooper, Giamatti, Wright, and Scott. And I think DiCaprio is a 6. He's the assumed pick. There's not a lot of passion for him. I know some people are saying it's his best performance, but I think that conversation has ended by now. And I just think nobody leads
than De Niro was an Irishman. I think
that was the technology. That's what hindered De Niro.
But I think the technology.
Nobody's leading with DiCaprio is the best thing in that movie. Everybody's talking about De Niro and Gladstone. Those are the 2. I don't think DiCaprio gets in on name alone. If it wasn't DiCaprio, he would not be in this top 5. I feel.
Well, I think him being DiCaprio is a huge thing.
I know.
I mean, the only time he's missed recently is Don't Look Up,
which
he's gotten nominated for everything else.
But think about the last decade, Wolf of Wall Street. Okay, he gets in, but this post Revenant, after he's won, he's at a new stage of Oscardom. Yeah. He did Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, got nominated, as he should. Don't Look Up, didn't get nominated. That's it. Those are the 2 movies he's done. Right now he's batting, what is it, 500? Did I make another sports reference? I don't know. You shouldn't ask. If you're batting 1,000, then if it's 1 half, then it's 500, right? I think I do. I don't know if there's sports fans in the audience.
They can tell us, but neither of us would know.
Yeah, but I'm going to go with Andrew Scott. I think that's the more likely. I think
I was very close.
More likely.
I was very close to putting him in there. Just I think All of Us Strangers, all of the categories that it's contending in, I have it right there. I need to see more people react to it. The ending is divisive. I think it's
so
very
Birdman
emotional.
Though, and Birdman won. So don't think it's a divisive ending.
That was in Inarritu though. This is Andrew Hay, and it's much better than Birdman in my opinion. But I think there'll be a lot of passion for it. It's very It's very family focused, which as we know they like. It's very close. I want him in there. I could see him get BAFTA Critics' Choice and then end up in there at the end of the day.
I see you've taken
that's a clear top 6
off your list though.
Yeah, I just don't. There's no talk about it. It's about to come out. There's no talk about it. I think
What I've
he's
been
gonna
saying.
get his love next year for Sing Sing. I think not for West.
And then just looking at the honorable mentions again, Napoleon and
Nothing
Ferrari.
else.
We just got to see how they play, but I do think they're relegated to honorable mention status at this point.
Yeah, I agree. King Bradley's coming. Yep, I think it's gonna happen.
I will not be upset. He is a dessert. Did you see the story that happened today that he took what was the Brooke Shields? He took her to the hospital and said, "I'm going with you." Like when she had an incident. He is just one of the nicest, most wonderful people in this industry, and I will not be upset.
Did you see his Halloween costume?
Yes, that was very funny. I will not be upset if he wins. I totally think, and especially because I think for me, like I just listen, as much as I love Cillian Murphy, I have to be honest, I care more about Nolan and Downey winning than Murphy. So
interesting. I care more about Murphy than
that's my priority list.
Murphy,
So like,
Nolan, Downey all the way at the floor.
Yeah. Oh, stop it.
We'll get to that, but yeah.
But I think so that in my own head, I'm like, listen, if I have to have Nolan and Downey win and Bradley Cooper wins, okay. I'll take that.
Having seen the performance, it's very good. It's honestly one of his best performances. I don't like the idea that he has to put on makeup and do a biopic to win an Oscar. But even though he did do it and he did it well.
Listen, he's going to be winning for A Star Is Born. Like that just in my mind, that's what he's winning for, no matter what he wins for.
It's close in terms of the quality of the performance. Yeah. Honestly, might think he's better in this than in A Star Is Born. It's just the whole idea of what you have to do to win an Oscar that I don't like.
I honestly think if he had won for A Star Is Born, it might be one of my favorite. It's up there with Manchester by the Sea is my favorite performance to win this category in the last 10 years. I love that movie. I love it. Hopkins, yeah, Hopkins was good. I think to me it was, if Hopkins had Denzel Washington and Fences like acting, it was like so clear. But I gotta revisit that whole Oscar season. Has like
that was a really good year in my opinion in terms of
it was a good year, but the way it ended has completely changed the way I look at those movies. So I should go back. I've only seen The Father once. But yes, I'll be happy when King Bradley wins if he wins. But I do think it's it's as close, if not closer, than Michelle Yeoh and Cate Blanchett.
It's very close. I agree. It's very close. I think, if Murphy's going to win one, he is more likely to win at BAFTA then. I don't think Cooper's going to win at BAFTA. I think BAFTA will either be Murphy or Murphy or Scott.
I think Murphy just comes down to how much respect people have for that performance and what he was able to achieve. It could be, I think people, and I've heard it, people talk about it from people in the industry, that they really find that performance as powerful as like something like Joaquin Phoenix and Joker, that it stays with them and that it's haunting and powerful. And like, if there's enough of those people that respect what he was able to accomplish, I could see Murphy win. It's a very very unique performance.
I would slightly lean towards Murphy, but yeah, just ever so slightly. Let's see. I remember thinking this as well when I was doubting Bradley Cooper winning. I forget who it is. It hasn't happened in a long time, but I think it's happened it happened with what's his name for that movie. That really helps you in terms of hints. Roberto Benigni, right?
Life is Beautiful, but he was the same person.
Well, yeah, exactly. I think that's what Cheyenne's talking about. A Best Actor winner who was also the director of the movie. I think it's happened 3 times before.
I thought this was just Best Actor Director. Like it could be separate people. Because
I think she means like a Best Actor winner who also directed the movie. I remember asking this question to someone. I'm sorry, I forget who answered, but they said it's happened like 3 or 4 times before. So it has happened. Yeah. It's not common, but I think it could very well happen.
Yeah.
Let's see a few more things. Oh, hello, Film Drunk. Hello, Jonathan, and a sports fan letting us know that we are 0.500. It seems like, but yeah.
And they're not football references, They're not, Travis Kelce references.
Yeah. There are too many of those in the world right now, anyways. Too many Halloween costumes.
It's an easy thing. It's an easy jersey.
It is.
I mean, okay, to the point that De Niro is more subtle in The Irishman than Leo is. Sure, I see that argument.
Yeah.
I don't know. And again, this is where my bias is showing. I just don't see that performance didn't just stay with me. And I wonder if when we get excited about these fresher faces, whether people are still going to be fighting for DiCaprio.
Maybe. I
That's
could
just
see
what I
him
feel.
miss. I just don't think he will right now. We'll have to see how Killers plays out in terms of buzz as the season continues. Um, Coleman feels more like a pundit prediction to me since he's beloved and an upcoming actor. Um, I I don't know. Honestly, it's a biopic performance, so it does seem like something maybe the Oscars would go for. I don't think Coleman Domingo is going to get many critic nominations for Rustin. I think they'll go more for Andrew Scott or Jeffrey Wright
Like
or
David
that type.
Oyelowo couldn't get nominated for playing Martin Luther King Jr. And I'm just saying, like it's not like biopic performances
That
when it
movie got
comes
into Best
to,
Picture.
and that movie got into Best Picture. Like I feel like it's a completely, unfortunately, a completely different realm for biopics about Black and African American figures. Like for some reason, they're not going to get talked about in the same way. I feel like a white actor could definitely get in on a sole nomination for a bio, like Jackie Kennedy, like Natalie Portman can get in,
Oh,
and
yeah.
like I think what that got maybe score. I think that was a very limited.
That happens a lot
package.
more in actress than
Or like
actor, but yes,
Spencer.
I do get what
Yeah,
you're
I
saying.
just unfortunately like that's another thing we have to talk about is the fact that it's a Black biopic and
We're
that's going
making
to hurt it.
improvements, but there's
It's why the Whitney Houston movie was
that was
never
a shit. That was a
talked about.
bad movie.
Well,
That doesn't
we
help.
yeah, but even before people saw it, they were kind of it's an also Rand. They just
Yeah,
don't.
that's true.
Unfortunately, they don't get seen as like, oh, that's a contender. I mean, Netflix
Yeah.
itself. Why are they not promoting this movie? What Netflix?
I think they probably. I don't think they probably have enough faith in it at this point, if I were to guess.
And that's part of it.
Yeah.
Again, we have to look at the campaign. The campaign, the campaign decides these things a lot more so than the movie
The
itself.
campaign is very important. Sadly, I wish it was just down to quality, but it never is. Domingo, I'm really looking forward to him in Sing Sing. From everything I've heard, everyone who has seen said movies, it seems like everyone prefers him in Sing Sing than in Rustin. So I think he'll be a big contender, and that movie overall will be a big contender next year. But we don't really have to worry about that this year. I could see Giamatti missing as a snub.
No,
I could see that. I could see it. I could see it. It's
not for
happened
this
before.
movie.
It's happened before.
I don't think for this
But
movie.
I just don't think it's as showy as all of these other things.
Viggo Mortensen got in. I think Paul Giamatti.
Oh
gets
yeah, but I think if you ranked them in terms of votes and who was most likely to miss, I think Viggo was not in the top tier compared to other people in that category.
Depends. If you're beloved and the movie is beloved, you go along for the ride, and I think Giamatti does.
Yeah, I agree. If Bradley Cooper wins for this, yeah, I think we all agree on that, honestly. Yeah, and there we go. Roberto Benigni was the last one to do it. Yeah, Selma just got song and picture. That was really weird stuff.
Well, it was weird, but there was a reason, and what the reason was shocking. To look up the story, that it was one of the worst blemishes in modern Oscarology.
Yeah. There's a lot of bad blemishes recently, sadly, but yeah. We don't need to talk about that now.
Yeah.
Let's move
Supporting
on.
actress.
Supporting categories. Supporting actress. This category is insane. What is happening here? Color Purple is such a huge factor here. Like if Color Purple is a big deal, that completely changes the list. And if Color Purple is a flop, that also completely changes the list. Right now, I think it'll be a big deal. I think it'll do well. I think these two performances that I both have getting nominated, Brooks and Henson, I think. What I struggle with having Brooks winning, which is what I do have right now, but I'm not confident in that, is they need to pick one in terms of if they want to campaign for one to win. It's going to be hard if there's not a consensus favorite between the two of them. I think there needs to be. I think it will be Brooks based on
it should be Brooks
content of the play. Yeah. But Henson is the bigger name, so I'm not confident in anything in this category. Let's be honest.
And Henson has been nominated for
she has been
Benjamin Button.
For Benjamin Button. So, yeah.
That always gives me caution.
Yeah.
Gives me. I was going to say pause and caution. But I agree. I think it's Brooks at the number 1 position. I have Blunt at the number 2 position because of how strong Oppenheimer is.
Yeah,
and I think there's
two. That would be a weird win, but yeah.
Despite Blunt not being nominated before, and this will be definitely her first nomination, I do think that she is more widely regarded than Divine Joy Randolph, who's my number 3.
Oh, yeah.
Though I could see a world if Color Purple falls off a cliff, I could see a world where Divine Joy Randolph wins it. I have Emily Blunt as my constant number 2. And we'll just see how strong Oppenheimer is if she can get to number 1. But I think she's 2, and then it's either Brooks or Divine Joy Randolph. It's one of those performances that has win potential.
From what I've read about holdovers, it seems like Divine Joy Randolph does have the showy scenes.
Yeah.
To
So,
potentially win.
And then I have Julianne Moore in my number 4.
Yeah.
Hey,
she's very good.
She's very good. Wonderful actress. And I think she is the most likely to be honored for this film. And then
I would disagree with that, but yeah,
we'll talk about
this. She's my third favorite of the top 3 performances, but I think
because she's Julianne Moore and she's in supporting actress. So
this category is a lot less competitive than the other 2. Yes. So
and then I'm again. This is another. I will pick a 5. I won't do you dirty.
You have to pick a 5 this time. You only get to pull that card once.
I've been burned too many times by Claire Foy, so I'm gonna ignore that.
I wish.
But I wish it happens.
It's so good.
I could do Taraji, but at the same time, I don't know if 2 people are getting in for Color Purple, especially when we talk about supporting actor. I already have a 2-fer there.
There was a 2 for 2 for last year in both categories.
That's true. That's true. It was Banshees and everything. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
I am going to right now go with America Ferrera because I think that monologue, that clip,
it's very Laura Dern in Marriage Story. Yes, it
will make the rounds. Yes, that's a good point.
It's very Laura Dern in Marriage.
She's the mom, and I think it's a performance that is respected. She brings a lot of dignity and integrity to that performance. She's funny. It's the type of performance that we don't tend to see a lot, and I think that makes her unique. I think Barbie, of course, can bring her along. And I think right now in the because I just don't see Nyad happening. I had Ferrari, but at the same time, I'm worried about Ferrari. I'm just worried about people's eyes getting on it. Same for Napoleon. I could see all these happening, but right now, I'm going to go with what people have seen and what I know people like, and that's America Ferrera and Barbie.
Yeah, I could see it too. The only thing is it's really just that one scene. It's that one monologue.
I mean, she's great. She gets to the car chase. She does the scene when, I think there's so many moments where she just gets to have fun. It's a performance that we don't tend to look at in this with this gaze.
Exactly.
But there's a lot. I mean, she is arguably after, I was going to say Emma and Ryan, La La Land has cursed me.
La La Land.
Margot and Ryan. She is the third lead of the movie.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
So she gets enough to do.
Yeah. And I think Jodie Foster and Knight, I mean, she's for some reason the top billed actor in the movie. So I think they know based on that.
She's the Academy Award winner.
She is the Academy Award winner, yeah. And they do love her. I mean, she won a Golden Globe for that Mauritanian.
The Mauritanian, which was I really liked. That was a good movie.
Yeah, I still haven't seen it. So Penelope Cruz, I think similar to Jodie Foster, it could just be based off of love for them as a performer, and that the fact that they are a standout in the film. Claire Foy in All of Us Strangers is so good, so emotional. I think I don't know, it's not going to happen. But if that movie, since you have it in picture, yeah, I would consider it. I would consider putting her in there if you have it in picture, because she has a lot of emotional scenes. Times. Yeah, she missed For Women Talking. She missed For First Man. We need
she missed For First Man. I will never get over that.
Yeah.
No, to be honest, that was a good year. And that category, like she missed maybe for Marina de Tavira to get in. So, I mean, it's tough, but Claire Foy. Yeah. Claire Foy was my number 2. Emma Stone, Claire Foy, Rachel Weisz, they were. Mwah.
Oh, in terms of that, yeah. I see. And yeah, that's really Vanessa Kirby for Napoleon is a complete wild card. But based on the trailers, I'm liking her performance more than Joaquin Phoenix's. I can tell you that much. Let's see. Questions. Viola Davis was my number 11. I just don't believe in Air, and I am manifesting that not being. She probably could get a SAG nomination because they love her there. But I don't know. I'm pressing X for doubt in terms of that.
I try to make Air and Emmys contender at this point.
It fits more there. It does fit more there. Sorry for any Air hate to any lovers in here. If Jonathan's still here, I'm sorry. I could see Blunt winning in a JLC way.
Jamie Lee Curtis, though, wins because she brought pedigree to Everything Everywhere. She was respected as far as, making that movie, get accepted by the masses. She's Hollywood royalty. Everybody loves her in the industry. It was a very similar trajectory to Laura Dern. Emily Blunt doesn't have as many bona fides, I feel, as Jamie Lee Curtis does. However, I would
Mhm.
argue the Emily Blunt performance is better. And she's in and I think she's going to be in a movie that is probably as well regarded within the Academy overall as Everything Everywhere. And I do
Yes.
think Emily Blunt, going back to Devil Wears Prada, is somebody who everybody genuinely loves,
Oh,
generally.
yeah. I
So
mean, she
I
won the
think
SAG award for A Quiet Place.
yeah. So I'm not ruling her out. That's why I think she is in that number 2 position no matter what happens with Color Purple. She will
Yeah,
always be
I
number
agree.
2. And I think she could win. It just my worry with her, because she has the scene. My goodness,
Yeah,
does she have the
yeah.
scene?
I think
I
it's an
just
underwritten role, as Cheyenne says, but she does have the Oscar.
and we disagree on that. I just again I worry about if because I currently still have Murphy. And I
Would you have
hope you
another Everything Everywhere situation where they went
That's what I'm
3?
worried about. I don't
That's
see
a
it
lot.
happening 2 years in a row where we're gonna have
Yeah.
3 acting. But maybe if Murphy doesn't win, I could see a world where Blunt and Downey maybe win
Double
2.
supporting win.
That could
When did that happen?
happen.
When's
That's
the last time
happened.
that happened? It has happened before. Not in a long time, but yeah.
Um,
Um,
in my opinion, what I'm curious how predictions overall. Yeah, it's gonna definitely make an
I think the
impact.
strike
I
will
think
end soon.
you're only gonna
So
see Barbie and Oppenheimer go up because finally they can talk about this movie too.
I
That's
think
another
I
thing in
think
Blunt's corner. That's another thing in Blunt's corner because the way Oppenheimer and Barbie are kind of operating right now is the way Nomadland operated, where everybody because it didn't come out until later in the season, but it was the front runner coming out of the festivals. And so it had the second wind come December, January of 2020, 2021. And that,
mhm,
again, allowed it to steamroll.
yeah.
Once Murphy and Blunt and Downey and Robbie and Gosling and Ferrera can talk about this movie, they're only going to rise up in the ranks because
Yeah,
they're going to
but
finally take the
honestly,
victory lap.
the SAG strike ending benefits Bradley Cooper much more than it does Cillian Murphy, if I'm being honest. One of them more likely to campaign. I
Possible.
don't think Cillian Murphy is a big interview guy. Bradley Cooper is going to campaign much more than Cillian Murphy, I think.
That is true.
I love Cillian Murphy, but in interviews, I think Bradley Cooper would be probably more charismatic than
If
Cillian
they
Murphy.
can get the narrative that it's his time, then yes. And he directed it. He's such a force behind it. There's a lot of respect for him. I mean,
Yeah.
freaking every single film, Scorsese and Spielberg, they're all producing this damn thing. So there's that.
I know.
He may win. You might be swaying me over this conversation.
I think he's.
So let's get to supporting actor, where I can go back to loving Oppenheimer and giving it a
Yes.
number 1 position.
Well, I'm going to address a few other things. We can just mention that it is that Nolan. Where did it go? Nolan cannot write female characters to save his life. I would agree with
I liked
that.
Elizabeth Debicki in Tenet. I thought that
Yeah,
was good.
and I think Jessica Chastain was pretty good in Interstellar. Same with
And Anne
Megan, but
Hathaway. Listen,
yeah,
it's not his forte. I don't think we're ever going to see a female-led Christopher Nolan movie. But I think Emily Blunt, I really love that performance. I think it's a very tough role and very few actors. I think Jennifer Lawrence maybe is the only other person I can imagine pulling a role like that off.
yeah,
And I was really impressed. Again, that scene impacts me so much that I'm like, well, it was well crafted. It got me to that scene.
yeah. Need to see Saltburn still, but Catherine Hunter was great in Poor Things, and she was also great in Tragedy Macbeth. I don't think
Agreed.
she has a shot. Yay, America Ferrera. We could see that happen. Yeah, that's another example of it happening.
Yes.
Yeah, I do think the Crown role is iconic, and she did win for that. So maybe
It's bizarre though. I mean, she's done so much at this
Oh,
point.
she's great. Yeah,
This should be her third nomination. She should at this point.
It should be.
Maybe second, because I think Jessie Buckley was also very good in Women Talking. Women Talking should have got something.
Yeah. Taraji listed over Daniel Brooks on the
Yes.
FYC page. I think that's more top billing than priorities. If you look in terms of the billing, Taraji is listed number 1. Fantasia is like at the end as
she's the only one that's Academy Award nominated. That makes sense.
Yeah. I think that is more the
That's
case
why
there.
Florence Pugh is listed above
yes.
so many other people in Oppenheimer. She's only in a couple scenes, but she's the Oscar nominee.
An example of the previous comment that we addressed.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I think that might be the last time it happened.
Definitely. I don't think it's happened since then.
Going through.
And Ryan Gosling. Yeah, I mean, let's get into that category then. Let's address it. Robert Downey Jr. He is winning. I personally like all of the 5 performances listed below him more.
Boo.
But he has the best narrative. and I think it's what this will also help. I think if Oppenheimer is any actor is benefited from Oppenheimer and the SAG strike ending and being able to promote. Robert Downey Jr. is like total charisma. I think he'll be able to speech his way to a win, even if the performance isn't completely there, in my opinion, for a win.
The performance is there. It's not what you expect from Downey Jr., which gives him another element. He's playing
the character
a more
feels
villainous
like he
character.
is Robert Downey Jr. In my opinion.
Well, I mean, I don't know. To me, I think that he really like. I was totally immersed in Strauss and this character. I think that the movie boils up, and the last third of the movie gives him such great scenes to work with. I think it's transformative in some ways. I think a lot of people respect him and his career and respect that this is what he did. Really, Doolittle excluded. This being the first thing he really does after his Marvel tenure, I think people point to that and be like, "All right, good,
yeah,
thank you." You're reminding us why we love. I think he's winning. I don't think anything comes close. I really don't. I think Ryan Gosling is wonderful, but I don't see a world where Gosling wins and Downey doesn't.
No,
I don't know.
No.
It's just
and
hard.
I think I've mentioned it before. Ryan Gosling and Mark Ruffalo are giving two very similar performances. I think that might hurt them as well. I think Mark Ruffalo did it better. I'm just saying it, but yeah, both did it.
Does Mark Ruffalo also get a 1950s musical inspired?
No, I wish he did. Sequence? I wish he did, but he does get a lot of juicy, funny moments. He's definitely the comedic relief of that film. De Niro is great. I don't think he's going to win. But,
yeah, he's my number 3 as well. We have the same top 3, and then I have Willem Dafoe getting in there. I was toying with Charles Melton.
Oh
no, I have Mark Ruffalo too. Because I think Mark Ruffalo, previous nominee, 3 times, right?
This is 3 times, yeah.
Kids Are All Right, Foxcatcher, and Spotlight in this category. And I think Willem Dafoe, of course, has always been like the one nomination for his movies.
Also, I think nominated 3 times in this category.
Yeah. I believe. Well, he was also nominated. I think Adam was lead.
Yeah. He was lead, yeah.
But I think they're both really well respected, and they have a better pedigree more than Charles Melton does. Charles Melton would have to be a Lucas Hedges type discovery, which could happen. But I also could see a world
critic awards.
He could.
He's going to win the Gotham for supporting, I think. I think he's going to win a lot of critics awards for supporting actor.
It's possible.
I think that'll be enough to sneak him in there.
I think he's battling Dominic Sesa. The two of them are going head to head.
Well, I don't think that's even close. I think Melton.
But they're both the people. They're both the younger actors, kind of cementing themselves. All the other people are big names, and so that's what they're going to have to take each other out for that. Like again, that Lucas Hedges spot. And again, it could happen. Let's see what happens with May December. I just feel a lot stronger in seeing a world where Willem Dafoe and Mark Ruffalo get nominated for Poor Things rather than a movie that's in the top echelon of Best Picture contenders with previous nominees than Charles Melton, never nominated before. His biggest credit is Riverdale, and he's in a movie that could miss Best Picture. Like I'm playing the odds as it stands.
Oh yeah, totally. Yeah, Charles Melton's one of my favorite performances of the year, so I'm not going to start taking him off until he starts missing stuff. So that's what I'm doing right. That top 6 is pretty clear though. I think the 5 will be within that 6. I don't really see Sterling K. Brown. Maybe if American Fiction becomes a big deal. I've heard he's good in that movie, so he could get in there. I have no clue about the Iron Claw. I've heard from whispers that Jeremy Allen White's very good in it, and he'll be winning Emmys for The Bear season 2 at the time of nominations, so that could help. I throw in Jacob Elordi for Priscilla just because he's playing Elvis, but I don't think that'll happen. I do think I should have. I'm sorry, Ezra. I completely forgot about Glenn Howerton. He should have been somewhere in here because I do think IFC is really pushing for him. He just got the Gotham nomination, so he would probably be my number 10 or 11, one of those spots right there. So I think it's in a less competitive year. He could
get SAG in a world. I could see that. Maybe.
I don't think enough people at SAG. I think there's too many voters for enough people to
listen. Jared Leto got in for the little things. Anything is possible.
More people will have seen the little things than Blackberry, though, sadly. But now it's streaming as a 3-part TV series for some reason on whatever channel, AMC. They split it up into 3 parts, and now it's like a television thing on AMC.
It's like the Hateful Eight extended edition on Netflix.
Yeah, it's weird. Okay. But
all right, let's get these screenplays.
Let's do it. Original screenplay. This is I need to mention this. I think Barbie is going to end up in adapted. I think the Academy is not going to agree with them campaigning it in original, and I think it's going to end up in adapted. This is another thing of me being different. I like being different to some people. I'm
Well,
built
I'll
different.
be the normal person and keep Barbie where
You
it's
have
being
Barbie.
campaigned.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be moved to adapted, in my opinion. But if it's not, I would have it winning here. But since I don't have it being nominated here, I would have Holdovers winning. That's a pretty
We
clear
have the
top
same
5,
list.
in my opinion.
We have the same
Yeah.
list.
Except
Given
you have Barbie.
but Anatomy of a Fall is my
Oh, okay.
6th.
Okay, cool.
So we have the same list. And Barbie will win if it's in this category.
Oh, if it's in the category, it will win. It will not win in this category, where I think this is a hard one. I think Oppenheimer, it could just like they love Oppenheimer and Oppenheimer just also wins screenplay. But I think they also may be like, we want to award something
Spread
else
the
here,
love.
because all of the big contenders are really in adapted this year in terms of screenplay.
Where's All of Us Strangers?
Oh, I took it out. It was originally my number 5. All of Us Strangers is my number 6. I took it out and meant to move it down to my number 6. It was my number 5, and then I meant to move it to 6, but apparently I just deleted it.
Again, we have the same top 5 with All of Us Strangers in there. If you take Barbie out and put it in its rightful category.
Yeah. So don't screenshot this and like send it to people saying I don't even have All of Us Strangers in the top
March
10.
comes along. You said this was or January, whenever the nominations come out.
Oh, what? I didn't update this slide as much as I thought of. Why do I have Naiad here? You're so right, Ezra. Oh.
And Spider-Man.
I did this like right
killer.
before. I did this. Yeah, I did. As you can't tell, this was the slide I did like right before we went live. So just take that top 5 and ignore everything below that line right now. Below that line, don't consider it. I'm just even gonna go back to picture now, so we don't stay on that slide for too long, because that's a little embarrassing. But yeah, that is really it. We can address some of the comments.
Send in your questions.
And I haven't seen it, but I've seen a lot of praise. I forget his name. A lot of praise for his performance.
He was very good. I think that a lot of the movie. I think some of my issues with the movie overall is that I wanted to learn more about him and his internal life, and I don't think the movie allows me that. I feel a little bit of distance from the characters in the movie, and frankly, that's the genre itself as well. But he was good. I as far as children performances, I would probably put Woody Norman in Come On, Come On and Frankie Corio and After Sun above him. But I definitely think that there are performances that I would consider his more than others that are already being considered. So it's good. It's a good performance. Yeah. It asks a lot of him.
Would you think he'd be a front runner for like child performance of the year? Is he maybe the best you've seen so far?
I'm going through the other contenders that we could have.
I imagine
Abby
Lee.
Oh, she'll do it. She'll win.
Maybe. I think more people.
She's the lead.
Will be a bigger awards contender. That's true. I don't get the overdue narrative for him. It's been decades when he made a serious ass Jason movie that was an MCU. Who are we talking about? Is this Bradley?
Robert Downey Jr.
Oh, Robert Downey Jr. Yes.
I assume.
I agree. No, that is definitely who Steven's talking about. I agree. But yeah.
Well, if it's giving Jamie Lee Curtis, then he'll win.
Exactly. He'll win, even though I don't want it.
But no, I think that
fifth best in the category once again. Just like
no, stop it.
Jamie Lee was, though. At least you could agree with that.
Jamie Lee was the 5th best in the category. Yes. I had to go through them. But also, like, we have to remember, like, they're not winning just for that movie. And there's a distinction between winning for the campaign, winning for the movie, and then winning for your career. Robert Downey Jr. is not only winning for his career, but his family's career, the legacy of the Downeys. And I also think that whether you like
a really awards baity career trajectory that helps.
Yeah. A lot. And whether you like his MCU career or not, you have to acknowledge that what the MCU is because of him and because of that Iron Man performance.
They're
and
trying
I think a lot of people just look at what's happened since he left. Like, it just proves how much of the glue he was to that story. And I think that he is a performer that people really admire. Like, you talk about, like, he was the one that everybody turned to on sets. Like, he's just some of the, you just can't beat Robert Downey Jr. as far as a narrative. And I think he has the goods here. I think he is as good in this movie as like Nurse Ratched and One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, Louise Fletcher in that film. Like, it's that.
That's a lot.
Like,
wow.
it's incendiary, and it's you start the movie on his side because of course he's Downey Jr. and by the end of it you just hate him. Like the look on his face when Alden Ehrenreich says, "Maybe it isn't about you," and he opens the door.
And
like,
what if I told you that Alden Ehrenreich was better in that scene than he was?
Well, that's personal opinion. But again, I think we have to acknowledge that like Downey, like Alden Ehrenreich, Downey's just a great scene partner too. Like you look at his career, he's not a he has.
He's a good actor. I have no issue with him winning an Oscar.
So
I just think that there's much better options. But that's the way it is most years.
The people remember Chaplin and Tropic Thunder and Less Than Zero. They remember that Downey, and to see him again. I think nobody remembers Doolittle. He doesn't even remember Doolittle, and they remember that, and they respect that he came back to this.
Yes, yeah, I very much recognized him. It was very much. I honestly think the character, personality-wise, was kind of similar to Robert Downey Jr. performances. We can move on from Robert Downey Jr.
I just think because he's being mean. I think that's part of it. People, it's so rare to see him as a bad guy. I think people have the same feeling about Robin Williams in Insomnia. It was just a different flavor to him.
That would be fun. I'm interested to see if Ryan Gosling does end up performing it live. He didn't perform his La La Land song live, so we'll see.
Yeah, but that they had two and they did a medley, and I think I don't know if that was because, but I mean Emma's been on Broadway, so it wasn't because Emma wouldn't do it. I don't know. I think they just decided you have John Legend do a medley, it'll be more exciting. And the actors were probably, I think it also could have been Emma Stone knowing that she probably had a better chance to win, maybe was nervous and anxious, understandably so, and maybe then Ryan didn't want him. I don't know. This is conspiracies at this point.
We'll see.
I think he will perform it though. I think for sure. We're not getting Megan Thee Stallion doing a rap to Encanto like we did.
I think What Was I Made For is a stronger contender than I'm Just Ken, in my opinion.
And I think they'll both be nominated.
Oh yeah, I think What Was I Made For can win though.
Oh, that one will win. I will be shocked if anything else wins at this point.
I agree. Most people have I'm Just Ken now, which confuses me. But
no, that's not winning.
Sterling K. Brown, great actor, great in ways. I would love to see him get nominated at some point. I don't know if it'll happen this year, but at some point.
I worry he's looked at his TV. Rip right now, sure. He'd be in my top 5.
John McGarrett would be?
Mm-hmm.
Well, you haven't seen most of the movies I've seen, so yes, he would be.
Excuse me.
I've just seen a lot of good performances. What can I say?
Because you've been to NIF.
I've been to NIF. And yes, Cheyenne agrees with me. No way Barbie stays original. Not a chance.
Yeah, but the narrative is not like adapted is that you didn't come up with the story. That's how I look at it. And
I don't think the narrative matters though. You just look at what they've nominated, like movies that have tried.
But like I wouldn't consider Chazelle like
went to adapted for Whiplash because there was
and I think that's ridiculous as well. He adapted one scene. There's 80 minutes of that movie that is original. But I'm just, again, I think that, I don't know. We'll see what happens. I just frankly feel that partly, it's such an original movie. Like it's like Everything Everywhere. That's part of it that I don't know. Like adapted to me, like that's when you don't have to come up with the characters, when you don't have to come up with the narrative, the story, the major thematic beats were not you had to translate that. You were not creating that. They created the story. When it came down to the script, there were certain elements that they took from the Barbie lore, but not really. It's not like there's never been a feature. There's never been the lore doesn't include Kendom and the horses and all that stuff. I don't.
Yeah.
Because like I would even
aspects.
Because like is Glass Onion adapted because that's
where it was
the characters? But
I'm not trying to argue in terms of where it should be. I'm just saying where it's going to end up is adapted.
I don't know. It's a tough call.
I put Killers of the Flower Moon 4th. I think I only had Killers of the Flower Moon high because that would be where they award what's his name? Scorsese, because he is part of the screenplay.
Yeah. There. But I'd be interested to see if anything breaks that top 3. I think that's your top 3. And I think it's a real fight for, I guess now, SAG and Producers Guild and Directors Guild. For Directors Guild will probably go Oppenheimer. But producers and SAG, it could go to any of those 3, honestly.
I agree. Just switching headphones.
Again, I'm leaning Oppenheimer for all. I think Oppenheimer will sweep, but I'm not discounting. It's too early to discount Barbie and Poor Things.
This is true. Once again, ignore that graphic. That was not updated as much below the line as I thought it was. Spider-Verse is great. I don't think it'll be a huge contender though, sadly. And yeah, part 2 is going to be a whiles off. Yeah, I'm so excited to see this performance. I'm looking forward to it.
It's good. It's good. I think again, I am interested to go back in again now, knowing the ending and how the trial in the movie plays out, because I think it's also like whenever you have a very expected genre, you have to wait to see what the movie actually is trying to say, like what's it wanting to say outside of the genre conventions. And now that I know that, I'd be interested to go back. Yeah, he was good. He was good. No complaints here.
Yeah, I agree that the narrative will help. He's good in Iron Man. I agree. I don't think he deserved an Oscar win for that either.
Well, he didn't.
Well, I know, that's what I'm saying. I think he's just as the quality is about the same as in Oppenheimer. I agree with this as well. Alden Ehrenreich's one of my favorites in that category. I like Matt Damon more than Downey. But yeah, I mean, it's a great
Those
ensemble.
are easier roles. Downey has to you have to I feel like, given that we've had such distance from Oppenheimer, if you watch the movie the first time, you have to like Downey at the beginning and then you have to hate him by the end. And that's a tough role to carry. And I think he does it. I think
I don't think I ever liked him.
I don't know. I didn't know the history. So I didn't know he was the one behind the scenes pulling the things. When that happens and that gets revealed, like he just turns into this really duplicitous, ugly villain. And I think he plays it off, and he captures modern politicians so well, while still retaining that Downey charm. I don't know. I will hold on to that performance as much as anything else in that movie.
This is funny. I don't think it'll happen, but yeah, Peaches for original song. It's really just.
I'm just Ken is already Peaches. Like a fun song. Like we don't get 2 of those. We get 1.
No, we only get 1.
Yeah,
we only get 1. They love voting for songs that drive the narrative of some of the characters in the movie. Interesting. I don't know how much I'm just Ken push. I kind of pushes the narrative. I think What Was I Made For is the better song.
It's the climax of the movie,
and it's like integrated.
And it's Billie Eilish, who's won an Oscar.
Well. Yeah, I would lean that way.
It's the song of the. I don't listen. You could argue I'm Just Ken is the song of the movie. They're both great. We'll see.
Yeah, we shall. Yeah, Barbie does have a great soundtrack overall, but I do think they can only get 2 nominated anyways. So I think those are the 2 that they will post.
Is that a rule now?
That it's a rule post Enchanted. Since Enchanted, I think took like 3 or 4 spots. That 3. You can campaign for multiple.
Well, because Dreamgirls and Enchanted back-to-back years got 3. It used to be 3. Like Little Mermaid got 3, and yet one. Little Mermaid get 3. I know Beauty and the Beast got 3. Little Mermaid.
I think they just didn't want one movie dominating.
Kiss the Girl. They did not get Part of Your World. I think Little Mermaid got 2.
That's weird. That should have won. But okay.
I know. Under the Sea won.
Oh, interesting. I do think the strike will come to an end soon, and I think that will help all the movies, including Poor Things. I'm very excited to see Emma. I wish, and then just beforehand, I would have saw Emma Stone at NIF, but another time.
You and your NIF.
My NIF. I enjoyed NIF a lot. We did just do Screenplay at the end. If you go back, ignore everything and adapt to Screenplay below the line. And below the line predictions, we are going to save for another slow week, which could be next week. So you could be hearing our below the line predictions next week as well. Yeah, I think Billy's song is the more emotional song. I think they do like that more. She could win her second Oscar. That would be very impressive. She was the first person to win an Oscar born in this century, I believe. And would she also do it? She would do it a second time again before anyone else. Really makes you feel good about what you've done with your life.
Listen, her mom was in the industry. I know that. She was a guest star in Friends. So, my mom was an administrative assistant.
She's
so I can put that in perspective. I can blame my mother.
Yeah, blame your moms about everything.
All right, that's a good note to end on, maybe.
Yeah. Let's see. Best animated feature, Elemental. That'll be nominated. Best director, Christopher Nolan. Little Mermaid got 2. Party World, Undersea. Yeah.
That's
Part of
fine.
Your World Missing is wild. Flash and visual
Best
effects,
Disney
worst
song.
visual effects of the
Feed
year.
the Birds.
Um,
I have no idea what's winning visual effects because, like, is the creator really
that's
going to
crazy.
win?
Probably creator or Oppenheimer. If Oppenheimer gets nominated, I don't think it'll be nominated though. So
Could Poor Things? I'm just.
maybe there's some
I
good
would
visual
love
effects in that movie. Yeah,
maybe
I
that.
can see that. I can
I'm
see
gonna
that.
go with
Yeah,
that, even though I haven't seen
it's
it.
very
I haven't been.
practical too.
I've been avoiding the trailers for Poor Things. I'm trying to go in as
I
blind as
avoided
possible.
them as well,
Yeah.
and it's a very good thing to avoid them.
All right.
Although they don't spoil that much, but it's best to go in blind. Color campaign, 2 songs. Yeah, I wait a little longer, kind of like with the documentary categories, to completely commit to my song predictions, just because it's wild. I do have a spot open for Diane Warren every year. She also just released a song with Taylor Swift, which was very good. She should be nominated for that instead of anything else, but that's not possible. But yeah, I think that's it. Adapted. I have Poor Things winning right now, but that's a tricky category.
Do you think that's a writing, like it's a well-written screenplay?
I think so. Yeah, I think it's very funny, and I think the screenplay really helps with that. And it's very well structured. The dialogue is great. So yeah,
That'd be interesting if Barbie ends up an original. If Barbie and Poor Things get screenplay,
it would be. You wouldn't be honoring Yorgos either, though, because he did not write the script. It's Tony McNamara. So it's interesting. Interesting stuff. Bless you. Aquaman
Thank
2,
you.
I don't believe will be getting. I don't think any DCU movie has been
Visual
nominated for
effects?
visual effects. I don't think a single one.
But even in this year, how barren it is.
No, not this year. This year it's creator, it's Guardians,
Oppenheimer,
it's
Guardians,
maybe Oppenheimer,
Poor Things,
Dungeons and Dragons, maybe.
Killers of the Flower Moon for the one scene.
No, there's one that I'm missing. Maybe Little Mermaid. I think if an underwater movie gets in, it would be Little Mermaid before Aquaman.
Little Mermaid, I think, had good visual effects. I think I loved Little Mermaid, the movie itself. I could see that happening.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. We'll have to see how it goes. Maybe it's my personal bias.
Those all were musicals, though. I think, that's Barbie's. Yeah, but it's in the middle. It's not. If you're a musical, then yes, you're going to go with the song that moves the plot along. But that's the only one that does that. What
was I made for? It's like the entire. It's like playing for the entire.
It's the culmination of the movie.
Of the movie, yeah. I don't know. It's close, but yes. Oh, thank you. I don't even know if we would be nominated, but we appreciate it.
Yeah, well, we would be. Come on, we have to be the ones to embrace it.
That's true.
If we don't think it, then it's never going to happen for this hypothetical
Andrew Riseborough campaign and get Francis Fisher to campaign for us.
I like how fast I completely embraced our possibility of winning.
Yeah.
For this hypothetical.
And I immediately went to. I need Francis Fisher's help to do this. God, Naiad, we don't even need to mention it. Best original song. I don't think so.
If Wish becomes a Frozen level phenomenon, which
if it does, but I don't think
I never count out with Disney. But
based on what I heard, I mean, we can listen to that song. I've heard it. I don't think it's that. It's No Let It Go. Is what I would say. So I don't. No,
it's more part of your world. To be honest, it's very part of your world. It's very. It's not a power ballad. It's a ballad. There's a difference.
Yeah, that's true. I think we've caught up. So we did it.
Thank you, everybody.
If you love these long shows, if you want to nominate us for best long Oscars show, I think we could win that.
We're still less than most of the Best Picture nominees.
Most of them, yes. If we doubled it, we'd be getting towards Flower Moon. But yeah, this is a round where we usually go an hour and 45. So it seems like it'll only get more busy as the award season continues. So yeah, thank you all for watching. Apparently there's terrible visual effects in Naiad. I look forward to watching it on Friday. And yeah, thank you all for watching. We'll see you next week for another live stream. Who knows what we'll be talking about? We'll have to see. We'll have maybe seen some more movies. We can maybe talk about that. Priscilla holdovers I might be able to see by next Wednesday. So we'll see. We'll have something to talk about no matter what. So we will see you all then. Thank you all for watching. Like the video, subscribe. Good night.
Bye-bye.
The stream.